Now that I've got a good amount of hours in Elden Ring Nightreign, I've beaten many of the Nightlords solo, and I wanted to show you one of my favourite solo runs in particular, because the boss you'll see later on in this video, many people said could only be beaten with a ranged class. So I decided to take him on in a full solo expedition as the Wylder using only melee. This video, if you want, can also act as a guide of sorts, as I'll show you a highlight reel of the run whilst giving you some tips and tricks along the way to help you hit the ground running as you start to tackle your first few Nightlords. As we jump into the Night 1 boss here, please note I've cut out most of Day 1, firstly because it's basically just farming easy bosses for runes to level up, but also because this was initially just going to be a quick 10-minute run where I get a quest completed and then deliberately die and head back to Roundtable Hold. But it was going so well, I decided to stick it out and start recording. So let's jump in on this boss and I'll talk you through the rest of the match. And then once I've talked you through a cut down version, I will start it again and let the match play out in full if you would like a full breakdown of everything I did to achieve this so it can help you in your own game. You'll see we're starting off here with the Grafted Monarch, and I thought I've beaten Godric no hit with the Starfist, which is the weapon I fortunately have in this run. So I thought this is going to be an absolute cakewalk, this will be so easy. And it was the first time I fought Godric in Nightreign, and obviously most Elden Ring bosses do have a few new tricks up their sleeve now. So I thought, actually, fair enough, let's get him to half health and see what his phase 2 is. This might be a little bit trickier than in Elden Ring. And then, sure enough, shortly after this riposte, suddenly he gets this gigantic crucible-like tail that he starts swinging around, and his arm transforms into something similar as well. And I think, oh god, okay, this might be a bit tougher than I initially expected. I get another nice stagger and then just barely survive this fumbled dodge roll with his slam attack. And after unfortunately completely missing my ultimate art as well, luckily the rest of the fight goes very smoothly and Godric is down and we are on to day 2. This is where I'm going to give you some good tips as to where to aim for, what to avoid, and general things you should focus on as you are preparing for the final boss. So straight away, I only have one Church of Marika left that I didn't grab on day 1, and that's directly north of me. So I'm going to hit another camp that's nearby to get a few extra runes and hopefully a decent reward before then progressing on to the church. As you can see, I'm also straight away fighting these bats for a few extra runes. This is something I wouldn't usually advise you do unless you're at the very start of the game. It's a really inefficient way to level up. But because this was one of my first solo runs, I was a bit nervous and I thought I'd rather farm my runes from smaller enemies than try and take on some of the formidable foes. Now, if you do have this Beastman camp, the boss is always up here, and luckily for me, the Flame of the Redmane's Ash of War pretty much keeps them stun locked. It makes light work of these guys. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab some FP so I can do that even more. Now we are going to sprint towards the last church and make sure we have all the flasks we can possibly get before heading into the final boss. Now, all I'm going to be doing is moving as quickly as I can from camp to camp, be it a fort, a castle, a ruined church, whatever it may be, farming a few of the smaller enemies, but primarily focusing on the boss, so I can hopefully get some juicy rewards and also get as many levels as possible before the end of day 2. As I head into this madness camp, as you'll see, I use the Wylder's ultimate here very aggressively and position myself to make sure that the AoE takes out this whole group of enemies, and that's something I'll be doing a lot with his character skill as well. You can use it for damage as much as you do for mobility, and the Wylder's character skill has so many different uses, as you will learn when I bring out the Wylder character guide in just a couple of days. Beating that boss got me to level 10 just in time because the night tide has started coming in, so I now need to sprint to the other side of the map and continue my farming once we get back inside the zone. And remember, when you're looking to cover huge distances, focus on spirit streams and spectral hawk trees wherever you can, because they will allow you to cover the biggest distances the fastest. So I'm going to use this hawk to go all the way down to the south, and then I will be very close to the zone and I can start exploring these more southern camps that I haven't yet hit. On the way, I do decide I think I have enough time, so I'm going to try and quickly take out the boss in this camp just outside the zone. Then, when I get here, I realise it's going to be 2 wolf-riding Albinauric archers, and they are quite a scary boss when you're playing solo. So after a dicey encounter, I'm actually going to leave them and just head into the zone before we are too pushed for time. Now that the rain has fully pushed in to this final circle, I know that leaves me with about 10 minutes remaining. So ideally I've got 2 or 3 camps left to hit. I know from playing the game there's almost always a scarab down here and talismans are huge, so I'm going to go check if he drops anything decent. Increased max HP, that is fantastic. Glad I came here and checked that now. But we are going to run past the Deathrite Bird, because these guys are a bloody nightmare for my current build. This was an absolute perfect merchant for me to find. I've been able to buy a Wending Grace, which gives me an extra life, and also a Thorny Crafteer, which is going to increase the damage of successive attacks. I also upgraded my shield, which, looking back at it, was probably a waste of runes, but at this point, that amount of runes really wouldn't impact anything anyway. As you can see here, I'm using the character skill very aggressively again to knock the captain out of his animations to give me more time to be aggressive. In fact, I'm being insanely over-aggressive here, but it's absolutely fine. And now that we've cleared out this camp, if you didn't know, there's a guaranteed stone sword key in this chest. In fact, I somehow got 2 here, but that is very rare. So we're going to head on over and see what's in this Everjail. And the reward for Everjail bosses is slightly different to that of normal bosses. You usually only get to pick out of 2 rather than 3, and one of them is just an injection of runes should you not really like the other reward. And as I'm beating this last Crystallian to a pulp, this little action that I do here is absolutely crucial if you want to min-max your gameplay. Opening the map and just quickly checking what to do next whilst you're in a critical hit animation or charging your ult or something like that. You want to maximize every single second of time. And now as they're dead, as you can see, I can get either 10,000 runes or increased stamina recovery speed. And as it's just me, I'm going to need as much stamina as possible. Another very easy camp for me to clear here. All you need to do is get on top of the 3 flame chariots and you can one-shot all of them. Huge reward for me there with increased stance breaking. Stacking stuff like that means I will hopefully be able to stagger the final Nightlord quite consistently. And obviously the longer he's staggered, the less damage I'm taking. That just about gets me to level 11, which is pretty decent for a solo run. And now we need to head over and prepare for the Night 2 boss. As I'm clearing up these enemies, if you didn't know, when you play solo, enemies do have reduced health, but all of their other stats are the same. They still pack a punch, they still have the same defense. In fact, tell a lie, I believe their stagger is also lower, as in, like, they can stagger easier. But apart from the health and the stagger, everything else is unaffected. And now for the Night 2 boss. This terrified me. It's literally just me, and of course I get the Tree Sentinel with the Royal Cavalryman duo. So instead of it being a 3v1 like this game usually is, it's a 1v3. So I decide to play it incredibly aggressive at the start of the fight, knowing that if I can take out the Tree Sentinel quickly, then it doesn't really matter if I don't have many heals left. I do die here. Thank God I bought that Wending Grace. It isn't over yet. That's exactly what this item is for. And at this point, I've only got 3 heals left. He's still on half health. They're both still on full health. I'm very worried if I'm actually going to be able to do this. Now he starts healing, which is huge for me because I do insane amounts of damage, so I can easily out DPS his heals. There goes a big bleed. There's the stagger, and now he is finally down. I've already got my ult ready as well, and now all we need to do is deal with the cavalrymen. So I'm waiting here, trying to get them to stack up so I can use the ult on both of them. I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately. Tell a lie, I managed to do that perfectly, and that knocks them both off their horses, meaning I can now absolutely obliterate them. That's the Night 2 boss down. That's another level for me, and instead of the HP, I'm going to go for the Glint Blades, because the Augur is quite hard to hit, so every little bit of extra DPS is really going to matter in this final fight. So I'm going to level up once more to level 12, buy myself another Wending Grace just in case, and a Boiled Crab with the rest of my money, so I've got a little bit more survivability. And now we go into the final boss fight, which I am going to skip quite a lot of because he's an absolute ball ache. He is so wiggly, he is so hard to catch, and the fight in total takes about 10 minutes, as you'll see when I let the entire video play out once I finish waffling on at you. So also, please note, this was the very first time I fought the Augur. So the first few minutes of the fight, I'm trying to figure out what his moves are and figure out how to dodge them. So I do take a few unnecessary hits, but I learn him pretty quickly and it goes very well for the most part. And there you go. As you can see, he's already staggered just because of them awesome glint blades. Though, unfortunately, the riposte doesn't really do all that much damage to him. My character skill comes in incredibly handy during this fight, being able to track him down far quicker than I would with any other melee character. And if you want to watch it, I will let the entire fight play out at the end of the video. I'll skip to near the end because it's pretty much just the same thing on loop now. As you can see here, I managed to get one final stagger, and I beat him with just a few more hits and still 3 healing flasks left. My god, my heart was absolutely pounding as this was my first solo run of Nightreign. I was terrified throughout this entire thing. I don't know why I was even attempting it. But there we go, over 100 kills, 344,000 runes, and a solo Nightlord has been defeated. Now, as I say, if you would like to see the entire run, starting from the end of day 1, I will start that playing right now. And please do note, if you'd like to play together, if you'd like to interact with the community more outside of these videos, make sure you join the Discord server. If you want to see more Nightreign content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And now, let's go into the full run.